Act I of The Duchess of Malfi. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org.
The Duchess of Malfi by John Webster. Act I, Scene 1. Enter Antonio and Delio.
You are welcome to your country, dear Antonio. You have been long in France, and you return a very formal Frenchman in your habit. How do you like the French court?
I admire it. In seeking to reduce both state and people to a fixed order, their judicious king begins at home, quits first his royal palace of flattering sycophants, of dissolute and infamous persons, which he sweetly terms his master's masterpiece, the work of heaven, considering duly that a prince's court is like a common fountain, whence should flow pure silver drops in general. But if to chance some cursed example poison it near the head, death and diseases through the whole land spread. And what is't makes this blessed government but a most provident council, who dare freely inform him the corruption of the times? Though some of the court hold it presumption to instruct princes what they ought to do, it is a noble duty to inform them what they ought to foresee. Here comes Bosola, the only court Gaul. Yet I observe his railing is not for simple love of piety. Indeed, he rails at those things which he wants, would be as lecherous, covetous, or proud, bloody, or envious as any man, if he had means to be so. Here's the cardinal.
Enter Cardinal and Bosola.
I do haunt you still.
So?
I've done you better service than to be slighted thus. Miserable age, where the only reward of doing well is the doing of it.
You enforce your merit too much.
I fell into the galleys in your service, where for 2 years together I wore 2 towels instead of a shirt, with a knot on the shoulder after the fashion of a Roman mantle. Slighted thus, I will thrive some way. Blackbirds fatten best in hard weather. Why not I in these dog days?
Would you could become honest.
With all your divinity, do but direct me the way to it. I've known many travel far for it, and yet return as arrant knaves as they went forth, because they carried themselves always along with them.
Exit Cardinal.
Are ye gone? Some fellows, they say, are possessed with the devil, but this great fellow were able to possess the greatest devil, and make him worse.
He hath denied thee some suit.
He and his brother are like plum trees that grow crooked over standing pools. They're rich and overladen with fruit, but none but crows, pies, and caterpillars feed on them. Could I be one of their flattering panders, I would hang on their ears like a horse leech till I were full, and then drop off. I pray leave me. Who would rely upon these miserable dependencies in expectation to be advanced tomorrow? What creature ever fed worse than hoping Tantalus? Nor ever died any man more fearfully than he that hoped for a pardon. There are rewards for hawks and dogs when they've done a service, but for a soldier that hazards his limbs in a battle, nothing but a kind of geometry is his last supportation.
Geometry?
Ay, to hang in a fair pair of slings, take his latter swing in the world upon an honourable pair of crutches, from hospital to hospital. Fare ye well, sir, and yet do not you scorn us. For places in the court are but like beds in the hospital, where this man's head lies at that man's foot, and so lower and lower.
Exit.
I knew this fellow. 7 years in the galleys for a notorious murder, and 'twas thought the cardinal suborned it. He was released by the French general, Gaston de Foix, when he recovered Naples.
'Tis great pity he should be thus neglected. I have heard he's very valiant. This foul melancholy will poison all his goodness. For I'll tell you, if too immoderate sleep be truly said to be an inward rust unto the soul, it then doth follow want of action breeds all black malcontents, and their close rearing, like moths in cloth, do hurt for want of wearing.
Scene 2. Antonio and Delio. Enter Silvio, Castruccio, Julia, Rodrigo, and Griselon.
The present begins to fill. You promised me to make me the partaker of the natures of some of your great courtiers.
The Lord Cardinals and other strangers that are now in court, I shall. Here comes the great Calabrian Duke.
Enter Ferdinand and attendants.
Who took the ring oftenest?
Antonio Bologna, my lord.
Our sister Duchess is great master of her household. Give him the jewel. When shall we leave this sportive action and fall to action indeed?
Methinks, my lord, you should not desire to go to war in person.
Now for some gravity. Why, my lord?
It is fitting for a soldier arise to be a prince, but not necessary a prince descend to be a captain.
No?
No, my lord, he were far better do it by a deputy.
Why should he not as well sleep or eat by a deputy? This might take idle, offensive, and base office from him, whereas the other deprives him of honor.
Believe my experience, that realm is never long and quiet where the ruler is a soldier.
Thou toldst me thy wife could not endure fighting.
True, my lord.
And of a jest she broke, of a captain she met full of wounds. I have forgot it.
She told him, my lord, he was a pitiful fellow to lie, like the children of Ismael, all in tents.
Why, there's a wit were able to undo all the chirurgeons of the city. For although gallants should quarrel and had drawn their weapons and were ready to go to it, yet her persuasions would make them put up.
That she would, my lord. How do you like my Spanish jennet?
He is all fire.
I am of Pliny's opinion. I think he was begot by the wind. He runs as if he were ballast with quicksilver.
True, my lord. He reels from the tilt often.
Why do you laugh? Methinks you that are courtiers should be my touchwood. Take fire when I give fire. That is, laugh when I laugh. Were the subject never so witty.
True, my lord. I myself have heard a very good jest, and have scorned to seem to have so silly a wit as to understand it.
But I can laugh at your fool, my lord.
He cannot speak, you know, but he makes faces. My lady cannot abide him.
No?
Nor endure to be in merry company, for she says too much laughing, and too much company fills her too full of the wrinkle.
I would then have a mathematical instrument made for her face, that she should not laugh out of compass. I shall shortly visit you at Milan, Lord Silvio.
Your grace shall arrive most welcome.
You are a good horseman, Antonio. You have excellent riders in France. What do you think of good horsemanship?
Nobly, my lord. As out of the Grecian horse issued many famous princes, so out of brave horsemanship arise the first sparks of growing resolution, that raise the mind to noble action.
You have bespoke it worthily.
Your brother, the Lord Cardinal, and sister Duchess.
Enter Cardinal with Duchess and Carraiola.
Are the galleys come about?
They are, my lord.
Here's the Lord Silvio is come to take his leave.
Now, sir, your promise. What's that cardinal? I mean his temper. They say he's a brave fellow, will play his 5,000 crowns at tennis, dance, court ladies, and one that hath fought single combats.
Some such flashes superficially hang on him for form, but observe his inward character. He is a melancholy churchman. The spring in his face is nothing but the engendering of toads. Where he is jealous of any man, he lays worse plots for them than ever was imposed on Hercules, for he strews in his way flatterers, panders, intelligencers, atheists, and 1,000 such political monsters. He should have been Pope, but instead of coming to it by the primitive decency of the Church, He did bestow bribes so largely and so impudently, as if he would have carried it away without heaven's knowledge. Some good he hath done.
You have given too much of him. What's his brother?
The Duke there, a most perverse and turbulent nature. What appears in him mirth is merely outside. If he laughed heartily, it is to laugh all honesty out of fashion.
Twins?
In quality. He speaks with others' tongues, and hears men's suits with others' ears, will seem to sleep o' the bench, only to entrap offenders in their answers, dooms men to death by information, rewards by hearsay.
Then the law to him is like a foul black cobweb to a spider. He makes it his dwelling, and a prison to entangle those shall feed him.
Most true. He never pays debts unless they be shrewd turns, and those he will confess that he doth owe. Last for this brother there, the cardinal, they that do flatter him most say oracles hang at his lips, and verily I believe them, for the devil speaks in them. But for their sister, the right noble Duchess, you never fixed your eye on 3 fair medals cast in one figure of so different temper. For her discourse, it is so full of rapture, you will only begin then to be sorry when she doth end her speech, and wish in wonder she held it less vain glory to talk much than your penance to hear her. Whilst she speaks, she throws upon a man so sweet a look, that it were able to raise one to a galliard that lay in a dead palsy, and to dote on that sweet countenance. But in that look there speaketh so divine a continence, as cuts off all lascivious and vain hope. Her days are practised in such noble virtue, that sure her nights, nay more, her very sleeps, are more in heaven than other ladies' shrifts. Let all sweet ladies break their flattering glasses, and dress themselves in her.
Fie, Antonio! You play the wire drawer with her commendations.
I'll case the picture up, only thus much. All her particular worth grows to this sum. She stains the time past, lights the time to come.
You must attend my lady in the gallery, some half an hour hence.
I shall.
Exeunt Antonio and Delio.
Sister, I have a suit to you.
To me, sir?
A gentleman here, Daniel de Bosola, one that was in the galleys.
Yes, I know him.
A worthy fellow he is. Pray, let me entreat for the provisorship of your horse.
Your knowledge of him commends him and prefers him.
Call him hither.
Exit Attendant.
We are now upon parting. Good Lord Silvio, do us commend to all our noble friends at the leaguer.
Sir, I shall.
You are for Milan?
I am.
Bring the caroche. We'll bring you down to the haven.
Exeunt Duchess, Silvio, Castruccio, Rodrigo, Griselin, Carraiola, Julia, and attendants.
Be sure you entertain that Bosola for your intelligence. I would not be seen in't, and therefore many times have I slighted him when he did court our furtherance, as this morning.
Antonio, the great master of her household, had been far fitter.
You are deceived in him. His nature is too honest for such business. He comes. I'll leave you.
Exit. Re-enter Bosola.
I was lured to you.
My brother here, the cardinal, could never abide you.
Never since he was in my debt.
Maybe some oblique character in your face made him suspect you?
Does he study physiognomy? There's no more credit to be given to the face than to a sick man's urine, which some call the physician's whore, because she cozens him. He did suspect me wrongfully.
For that you must give great men leave to take their times. Distrust does cause us seldom be deceived. You see, the oft shaking of the cedar tree fastens it more at root.
Yet take heed, for to suspect a friend unworthily instructs him the next way to suspect you, and prompts him to deceive you.
There's gold.
So, what follows?
aside.
Never rained such showers as these without thunderbolts in the tail of 'em. Whose throat must I cut?
Your inclination to shed blood rides post before my occasion to use you. I give you that, to live in the court here and observe the Duchess, to note all the particulars of her behaviour, what suitors do solicit her for marriage, and whom she best affects. She's a young widow, I would not have her marry again.
No, sir?
Do not you ask the reason, but be satisfied. I say I would not.
It seems you would create me one of your familiars.
Familiar? What's that?
Why, a very quaint invisible devil in flesh, an intelligencer.
Such a kind of thriving thing I would wish thee, and ere long thou mayst arrive at a higher place by it.
Take your devils, which hell calls angels. These cursed gifts would make you a corrupter, me an impudent traitor. And should I take these, they'd take me to hell.
Sir, I'll take nothing from you that I have given. There's a place I procured for you this morning, the provisorship of the horse. Have you heard on't?
No.
'Tis yours. Is't not worth thanks?
I would have you curse yourself now, that your bounty, which makes men truly noble, e'er should make me a villain. Oh, that to avoid ingratitude for the good deed you have done me, I must do all the ill man can invent. Thus the devil candies all sins o'er, and what heaven terms vile, that names he complimental.
Be yourself. Keep your old garb of melancholy. 'Twill express you envy those that stand above your reach, yet strive not to come near 'em. This will gain access to private lodgings, where yourself may, like a politic dormouse,
As I have seen some feed in a lord's dish, half asleep, not seeming to listen to any talk, and yet these rogues have cut his throat in a dream. What's my place? The provisorship of the horse. Say then, my corruption grew out of horse dung. I am your creature.
away!
Exit.
Let good men for good deeds covet good fame, since place and riches oft are bribes of shame. Sometimes the devil doth preach.
Exit. Scene 3. Enter Ferdinand, Duchess, Cardinal, and Carraiola.
We are to part from you, and your own discretion must now be your director.
You are a widow. You know already what man is, and therefore let not youth, high promotion, eloquence,
No, nor anything without the addition, honor, sway your high blood.
marry, they are most luxurious will wed twice.
Ah, fie!
Their livers are more spotted than Laban's sheep.
Diamonds are of most value, they say, that have passed through most jewelers' hands.
Whores by that rule are precious.
Will you hear me? I'll never marry.
So most widows say, but commonly that motion lasts no longer than the turning of an hourglass. The funeral sermon and it end both together.
Now hear me. You live in a rank pasture here at the court. There's a kind of honeydew that's deadly. 'Twill poison your fame. Look to it. Be not cunning. For they whose faces do belie their hearts are witches ere they arrive at 20 years. Ay, and give the devil suck.
This is terrible good counsel.
Hypocrisy is woven of a fine small thread, subtler than Vulcan's engine. Yet, believe it, your darkest actions, nay, your privatest thoughts, will come to light.
You may flatter yourself, and take your own choice. Privately be married under the eaves of night.
Think it the best voyage that e'er you made, like the irregular crab, which, though it goes backwards, thinks that it goes right, because it goes its own way. But observe, such weddings may more properly be said to be executed than celebrated.
The marriage night is the entrance into some prison.
Those joys, those lustful pleasures, are like heavy sleeps which do forerun man's mischief.
Fare you well. Wisdom begins at the end. Remember it.
Exit.
I think this speech between you both was studied, it came so roundly off.
You are my sister. This was my father's poniard. Do you see? I'd be loath to see it look rusty, 'cause 'twas his. I would have you to give o'er these chargeable revels. A visor and a mask are whispering rooms that were never built for goodness. Fare ye well, and beware the part which, like the lamprey, hath never a bone in't.
Fie, sir!
Nay, I mean the tongue, variety of courtship. What cannot a neat knave with a smooth tale make a woman believe? Farewell, lusty widow!
Exit.
Shall this move me? If all my royal kindred lay in my way unto this marriage, I'd make them my low footsteps. And even now, even in this hate, as men in some great battles, by apprehending danger, have achieved almost impossible actions, I have heard soldiers say so, so I, through frights and threatenings, will essay this dangerous venture. Let old wives report I winked and chose a husband. Cariola, to thy known secrecy I have given up more than my life, my fame.
Both shall be safe. For I'll conceal this secret from the world as warily as those that trade in poison keep poison from their children.
Thy protestation is ingenious and hearty. I believe it. Is Antonio come?
He attends you.
Good dear soul, leave me. But place thyself behind the arras, where thou mayst overhear us. Wish me good speed, for I am going into a wilderness, where I shall find nor path nor friendly clue to be my guide.
Cariola goes behind the arras. Enter Antonio.
I sent for you. Sit down. Take pen and ink and write. Are you ready?
Yes,
What did I say?
that I should write somewhat.
Oh, I remember. After these triumphs and this large expense, it's fit, like a thrifty husband, we inquire what's laid up for to-morrow.
So please your beauteous excellence.
Beauteous? Indeed, I thank you. I look young for your sake. You have ta'en my cares upon you.
I'll fetch your grace the particulars of your revenue and expense.
Oh, you are an upright treasurer. But you mistook. For when I said I meant to make inquiry what's laid up for to-morrow, I did mean what's laid up yonder for me.
Where?
In heaven. I am making my will, as 'tis fit princes should, in perfect memory. And I pray, sir, tell me, were not one better make it smiling thus, than in deep groans and terrible ghastly looks, as if the gifts we parted with procured that violent distraction?
Oh, much better.
If I had a husband now, this care were quit. But I intend to make you overseer. What good deed shall we first remember? Say.
Begin with that first good deed began i' the world after man's creation, the sacrament of marriage. I'd have you first provide for a good husband. Give him all.
All?
Yes, your excellent self.
In a winding sheet?
In a couple.
Saint Winifred, that were a strange will.
'Twere stranger if there were no will in you to marry again.
What do you think of marriage?
I take it as those that deny purgatory. It locally contains or heaven or hell. There's no third place in't.
How do you effect it?
My banishment, feeding my melancholy, would often reason thus.
Pray, let's hear it.
Say a man never marry, nor have children. What takes that from him? Only the bare name of being a father, or the weak delight to see the little wanton ride a cock-horse upon a painted stick, or hear him chatter like a taught starling.
Fie, fie, what's all this? One of your eyes is bloodshot. Use my ring to it. They say 'tis very sovereign. 'Twas my wedding ring, and I did vow never to part with it but to my second husband.
You have parted with it now.
Yes, to help your eyesight.
You have made me stark blind.
How?
There is a saucy and ambitious devil is dancing in this circle.
Remove him.
How?
There needs small conjuration, when your finger may do it. Thus. Is it fit?
She puts the ring upon his finger. He kneels.
What said you?
Sir, this goodly roof of yours is too low built. I cannot stand upright in't, nor discourse, without I raise it higher. Raise yourself, or, if you please, my hand to help you. So.
Raises him.
Ambition, madam, is a great man's madness, that is not kept in chains and close-pent rooms, but in fair lightsome lodgings, and is girt with the wild noise of prattling visitants, which makes it lunatic beyond all cure. Conceive not I am so stupid but I aim whereto your favours tend. But he's a fool that, being a cold, would thrust his hands i' the fire to warm them.
So now the ground's broke, you may discover what a wealthy mine I make your lord of.
Oh, my unworthiness!
You were ill to sell yourself. This darkening of your worth is not like that which tradesmen use in the city. Their false lights are to rid bad wares off. And I must tell you, if you will know where breathes a complete man, I speak it without flattery, turn your eyes and progress through yourself.
Were there nor heaven nor hell, I should be honest. I have long served virtue, and ne'er ta'en wages of her.
Now she pays it. The misery of us that are born great! We are forced to woo, because none dare woo us. And as a tyrant doubles with his words, and fearfully equivocates, so we are forced to express our violent passions in riddles and in dreams, and leave the path of simple virtue, which was never made to seem the thing it is not. Go, go, brag you have left me heartless. Mine is in your bosom. I hope 'twill multiply love there. You do tremble. Make not your heart so dead a piece of flesh to fear more than to love me. Sir, be confident. What is't distracts you? This is flesh and blood, sir. 'Tis not the figure cut in alabaster kneels at my husband's tomb. Awake, awake, man! I do here put off all vain ceremony, and only do appear to you a young widow that claims you for her husband. And, like a widow, I use but half a blush in't.
Truth speak for me. I will remain the constant sanctuary of your good name.
I thank you, gentle love, and cause you shall not come to me in debt, being now my steward, here upon your lips I sign your quietus est. This you should have begged now. I have seen children oft eat sweetmeats thus, as fearful to devour them too soon.
But for your brothers?
Do not think of them. All discord without this circumference is only to be pitied and not feared. Yet, should they know it, time will easily scatter the tempest.
These words should be mine, and all the parts you have spoke, if some part of it would not have savoured flattery.
Kneel.
Carraiola comes from behind the arras.
Ah!
Be not amazed. This woman's of my counsel. I have heard lawyers say, a contract in a chamber, per verba de presenti, is absolute marriage.
She and Antonio kneel.
Bless heaven, this sacred Gordian, which let violence never untwine.
And may our sweet affections, like the spheres, be still in motion,
quickening, and make the like soft music,
that we may imitate the loving palms, best emblem of a peaceful marriage, that never bore fruit divided.
What can the Church force more?
That fortune may not know an accident either of joy or sorrow to divide our fixed wishes.
How can the church build faster? We are now man and wife, and 'tis the church that must but echo this. Maid, stand apart. I now am blind.
What's your conceit in this?
I would have you lead your fortune by the hand unto your marriage bed. You speak in me this, for we are now one. We'll only lie and talk together, and plot to appease my humorous kindred. And if you please, like the old tale in Alexander and Lodowick, lay a naked sword between us, keep us chaste. Oh, let me shroud my blushes in your bosom, since 'tis the treasury of all my secrets.
Exeunt Duchess and Antonio.
Whether the spirit of greatness or of woman reign most in her, I know not, but it shows a fearful madness. I owe her much of pity.
Exit. End of Act 1.